Hi everyone, it's time to take a look at the goodies that I picked up from the last cactus and succulent sale and show. The one you'll remember from the last video, the one that was hosted by one of the local branches of the German Cactus Society, the Deutsche Kakteen-Gesellschaft, and it was the Erlangen Bamberg branch that actually had that sale on. Actually, thanks for all the interest in the video of the plant show, and also for all the wonderful comments that came back and all the awesome feedback. And quite a number of you actually, of course, wanted to see the goodies that I picked up from that sale. Well, they're coming up in this video. Stay tuned. Welcome back everyone, welcome back to my greenhouse, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joe. Let's take a closer look at some of the main plants that I picked up from that plant show. And you know, as always at these shows, there was a huge variety of plants, and it is always a really difficult decision, you know, which ones to leave behind and which ones to take along. At these plant shows, of course, there's way many plants, wonderful plants that, you know, are it's so tempting to take so many more plants along. But yeah, as I've mentioned before, it's always a trade-off, isn't it, between what are the plants that, you know, one already has, what's the space that one still has available. Of course, costs play in. And at the same time also, it's always a great opportunity to actually pick up not just bargains, but also some real exotics and rare plants, not just from the type, the species and the genus of the plant being rare, but also just the fact that it's sometimes really difficult to actually pick up mature, older mother plants from certain species. And if someone actually is in the process of clearing out their greenhouse, sometimes it's, you know, collections that are being downsized or given up altogether because of age. But there's also other reasons for people sometimes giving up their collections and their plants. And when there's an opportunity like that, with people selling some of these older plants at these shows, then of course it is a fantastic opportunity to pick up some of these older and sometimes, you know, plants that are not just because of the age just really beautiful, but also quite a number of species, of course, you know, they need to actually be 15, 20 years old before they actually start blooming for the first time. Okay, let's start off with the first plant, and the first plant is this absolutely magnificent columnar cactus, and it has these beautiful spines. Look at these golden colored spines here. It's just a fantastic plant, and it is labeled Trichocerase telegonus. Now I had a quick look and I couldn't really find telegonus under the listing, at least the recent listing of species within the genus Trichocerase. It does resemble very much the Trichocerase chiloensis, so I think I will be probably having it run under that name. And this is the tricky thing with the scientific names. They, you know, in one of the videos that I've made for you that deals with the understanding cactus names, common names versus scientific names, etc. And, you know, there I mention also that cacti are often reclassified by taxonomists, by botanists, you know, and they move from one genus to another. Some of the plants are actually then suddenly found out to be synonymous, so plant names get changed, some of them actually get replaced. So it can be pretty confusing and a bit chaotic with the scientific names at times, especially when there's reclassifications. And you know, those of you out there who are familiar with the genus name Trichocerase, well, guess what? These plants have actually been reclassified into the genus Echinopsis not so long ago. And so, you know, this plant, just as an example, still carries the label Trichocerase telegonus, but is probably equivalent to the Echinopsis chiloensis. So I guess I've got you totally confused by now, but in any case, it's a wonderful, wonderful plant, and I'm really happy that I was able to pick it up. This is, by the way, according to the label, it is 13 years old. It was sown and so grown as a seedling from 2010. So 13 years old. Obviously a relatively slow grower. You can see by the size here. This is what, about 25 centimeters in length now, or in height. Now, it was also an opportunity to pick up a couple of plants that I sort of specialize in, and one of those is, you know, the Pharaoh cacti. I love Pharaoh cacti. Those of you who've seen previous videos from me, you know that. And there are actually 3 Pharaoh cactus plants, so 3 Pharaoh cacti that I picked up from the show, or sale rather. Now, one of them is this wonderful Pharaoh Cactus viridescens. Let me just show you. Look at this plant. It's already relatively large, about, I would say, 3 to 4 inches or 10 centimeters in diameter. And again, wonderful coloration of the spines. It's actually got pretty strong, good roots. You can see that at the base of the pot. Always worth taking a look to see as well, you know, how healthy a plant actually is below the surface of the substrate. So this is a Pharaoh Cactus viridescens, and it's actually, according to the label here, grown from seeds that were harvested in La Jolla, California. The second Pharaoh cactus that I picked up for my collection is labeled Pharaoh Cactus Santa Maria, and I did a bit of research there, and that Pharaoh Cactus Santa Maria is, with the newest classification, it is actually considered a subspecies of the Pharaoh Cactus peninsulae. So Pharaoh Cactus peninsulae, subspecies Santa Maria. Look at this plant. Again, it is, I would say, at least about 10-12 years old, and you know, with wonderful spines, really strong, typical Pharaoh Cactus spines. Just a wonderful plant. You can see there in the central axis, the growth axis in the middle, some brand new spines, red colored, that are emerging there. So that was the second Pharaoh cactus for my collection. The third one is the smallest of the 3, but an equally beautiful, beautiful Pharaoh cactus. It's a relatively rare one, not that easy to get, and it's labeled Pharaoh Cactus Chrysocanthus. Look at this plant. Isn't that just gorgeous? The color of the spines, quite strong, just wonderful, wonderful Pharaoh Cactus Chrysocanthus. And the label also says that Pharaoh Cactus Chrysocanthus from Isla Cedros on Baja California. So that's where the seeds of that this plant was grown from were once harvested off plants that were growing there. Now, another group of cacti that I am collecting and that I just find absolutely gorgeous are Corifantha. Again, many of you will have actually seen from my previous videos that there are a number of Corifantha that I actually grow in my collection. And if I can actually get this one past the ferocious Pharaoh Cactus spines, here's a very, very old plant that I managed to pick up. It's a Corifantha Elefantidens, and according to the label, this Corifantha Elefantidens is actually from 1993. So it is actually 30 years old, this plant. It was recently blooming. You can see the little fruit, the seed pod at the top there coming out of the wool. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous Corifantha, very mature, and I can't wait to actually see this one in full bloom. Corifantha Elefantidens is one of my favorites from this genus Corifantha, and it has just absolutely stunning flowers. One that I would definitely recommend anyone who's interested in growing Corifantha would recommend you to grow this one. Now, the second Corifantha that I was able to pick up was this Corifantha Fuktheriana. Does it have a label on with respect to age? Yeah, this one is from, again, grown from seed 2012, so that makes it 13 years old. Again, just a beautiful, beautiful plant. Look at this Corifantha, and very mature plant that no doubt, is already old enough to flower. In fact, you can see there's some dried up flower bits here from the last flowering period, and might even be that even still in this summer I might, if I'm lucky, still be able to see another bud or flower emerge from this one, hopefully. Let's see. So, Corifantha Fuktheriana. Now, staying with the theme of relatively mature plants, and that's, as I said earlier, that's what I was especially on the lookout for in this cactus sale. Now, here is, funny enough, another plant that is 13 years old according to the label. It was sown and grown from seed from 2010, and it is on the label it says Neoporteria Subgibosa. And again, in the meantime, those of you who are familiar with the Neoporterias, they have been reclassified and they are now called Eriositzi. So Eriositzi subgibosa, a 13-year-old plant, just wonderful spines, and I actually have cleared out already all the dried up flowers that were on this plant, and I'll show you in a little insert what that actually looked like earlier. So a very mature plant and very capable of showing lots and lots of flowers something again that I'm really looking forward to, and that, you know, when it happens, I'll obviously share with yourselves when this one is in flower. So Neoporteria Subgibosa, now also known as Pharaoh Subgibosa. Okay, so now I've got something really special again for you. This one, look at this very mature plant, and it is the most amazing, beautiful Parodia. It is a Parodia roseo luteus. Guess what? It's actually been reclassified as well. It now runs by the name Parodia mamuloza, subspecies roseo luteus. That's for those of you interested in the taxonomy and the latest and greatest name. Now, if we just stand back for a moment and forget the taxonomy and the scientific names, just look at this fantastic plant. And the name label actually shows that it was sown from seed, grown from seed in 1990. So 33 years old, this particular cactus, this Parodia. And you know, you can see at the base here, this is the corking that I've mentioned in one of my previous videos as well. So older plants that, you know, have this natural brown color, this natural phenomenon of corking towards the base, and then the green chlorophyll-filled epidermis towards the top. And of course, that's because cacti, you know, the main stems, cacti grow, of course, from the central growth axis, and the spines and the new cells and the new epidermis, that then with time, of course, moves, wanders sideways and down. And so the very oldest spines, the very oldest parts of the stems down at the base, and the very youngest always at the top, emerging from the central growth axis. Anyway, look at this beauty. 33 years old, Parodia mamuloza, subspecies roseo luteus. Quite a mouthful, but just a fantastic plant. Staying with the theme of fantastic plants, another genus that I collect specifically and that I just find absolutely fantastic is the cactus genus of the Telecactus. And I managed to pick up two wonderful plants that I do not yet have in my collection of Telecacti. And this is the first one. It is labeled Telecactus loidy. And Telecactus loidy, if one actually studies the scientific literature a bit, which I did, this Telecactus loidy, look at this wonderful plant. It's recently had 2 flowers here. You can see the dried flowers in the apex. This Telecactus loidy is now considered a subspecies of Telecactus hexadrophorus. So another mouthful coming here. This is now Telecactus hexadrophorus subspecies loidy. A fantastic plant. And yeah, just take a look. Isn't that a beauty? And staying with Telecactus, I have to say one of the absolute highlights of my plant haul from this sale is this Telecactus here, which I can barely lift. It's Look at this Telecactus. Look at this plant. It is just so beautiful, and it is probably the oldest, or one of the oldest plants that I picked up at the sale. And the seller was obviously looking to make space in their collection. It is labeled Telecactus needlelands, and again I was researching, and Telecactus needlelands is actually now running as a subspecies of Telecactus rinconensis. So, next mouthful of a scientific name: Telecactus rinconensis subspecies needlelands. There you go. Just a beautiful plant. This particular Telecactus was also grown from seed here in Germany, and it was grown from seed that was sown back in 1977. Can you believe that? That's just amazing. So beautiful, and it is such an old plant, and it is in fantastic shape. Again, you can see, if I just lift it a bit here, the older parts of the plant with the corking at the base, and then the immaculate top part of the plant. Look at that. I'm really looking forward to probably the next spring, the next flowering season, and hopefully this plant will share the color of the flowers that it has. So really something to be looking forward to. I must say, you know, it is such a special feeling, I guess, for any grower, for any cactus enthusiast, to actually be holding and to be owning such a wonderful plant with such an old age, and you know, knowing that it will probably, with good care, continue to grow for, you know, probably many decades to come. That just shows how, on the one hand, how old cacti can actually get, but also how slow quite a number of these plants actually grow. And you know, some of them, it takes them decades to mature into a age where they can actually flower and show their wonderful blooms. A real gem of a plant that actually was showing its beautiful flowers just a day after the sale, and I'll show that here in the insert in the video. You can see just these wonderful flowers that this plant has, and it is a Neoloidia grandiflora. Look at this plant, just beautiful, isn't it? There you go. Just another quite unusual plant that I managed to pick up, and yeah, just a real pleasure to be finding plants, little jewels, little treasures like this, and being able to add them to one's collection. Now, a very special plant, and the largest, by far the largest plant that I picked up at the sale, is actually too large for me to have it here on the table. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to swing around the camera and show you on the other end here of my greenhouse. It's already gotten a very special place. It is a quite old, according to the grower, it is a 30 to 40 year old Trichocerase. It's a Trichocerase passacana, And like I was saying earlier, Trichocerase have been reclassified, if you like. They've been moved in their taxonomic place into the genus Echinopsis. And this Trichocerase passacana, that's what this one is called, has now been renamed into Echinopsis atacamenensis, subspecies passacana. Horribly long names, but that's what we have right now for as the latest name, if you like, for this plant. It used to be called Trichocerase passacana, and there you go. It is a wonderful, very old plant again. Now, it is actually still quite small. It is tiny relative to the final size and age that these plants actually ultimately get. But, you know, for a plant that was grown from seed in cultivation, this is quite a beauty to have. And I'm, again, you know, just thrilled to have this plant added to my collection. It might even show if it's old enough, I'm not sure, but, you know, time will tell. And it is something that I've got in my collection of columnar cacti now. I'll see whether in the next growing season it might actually show a flower. And of course I'll keep you in the loop, and I'll share that with you if it does. Now finally, a very special plant again. This one actually did not come, unfortunately, with a label, but again, a huge and very, very old plant. It's an Astrophytum, obviously. It's an Astrophytum ornatum, and you know, I'm guessing again that this is probably a at least 20, possibly more than 30-year-old specimen, and it's Astrophytum ornatum. It's got a bud coming there in the central axis. You can see that in between the spines. And look at this just immaculate and beautiful, beautiful plant. A very old, very senior plant that obviously the previous collector and grower has been looking after very, very well. And you know, that's in a way the nice thing about these sales, that because they are from amateur, so collectors for amateur collectors, it's a great way of actually passing on very rare and very valuable plants from, you know, one collector to another. And I think, you know, for a lot of collectors, certainly I would have that feeling as well. If I want to pass on, you know, some of my most valuable, my oldest plants, I'd like to see them, you know, be passed on into good hands. And, you know, hopefully they are in good hands with me here. So these plants, you know, it's a real privilege and a real, just a fantastic opportunity to actually have plants like these in one's collection, and to take them from, if you like, one growing generation to the next, and to be looking after them as, you know, just treasures of nature. Okay, folks, I hope that that was a interesting rundown, you know, interesting and nice summary for you of the goodies that I was able to pick up at this plant show in Erlangen. And, you know, thanks so much for taking the time to join. Thanks so much for actually looking at the first and now also this second video about this plant sale. I hope that, you know, you would agree with me that there are some absolutely fantastic plants that were on offer there. And, you know, given obviously I had to limit my, my haul there, the plants that I did focus on, like I say, I was actually wanting to pick up a couple of more rare because very old mature plants that were in, you know, in good shape, looking good, looking healthy. and that I wanted to, if you like, take on as the new privileged grower of these very old plants, and to, basically look after them for the next, hopefully, many, many years to come. Now, if you enjoyed this video, there are quite a number of other videos about cacti and other succulent plants on my channel, and please do check them out. If you'd like to subscribe and you haven't subscribed so far, it'd be fantastic if you actually did subscribe to the channel. And you'll always be informed if you actually click the bell icon next to the subscription button. You'll always also be informed about the latest uploads automatically. Also, if you liked the video, just leave a comment, give me a like. That would be all appreciated. Thanks to all of you for being so supportive to this channel. I really appreciate it. As always, it's been a pleasure sharing these treasures with you in this video. And, I hope you really enjoyed all the plants. Hope to see you very soon again. Stay safe, take care, and happy growing.